Welcome back to another episode of socio-political speeches made by our wonderful alliance. This one is about animal rights. Today is my birthday. On this day in 2023, I turned 13 years old. Happy birthday to me! However, that's not the point. The month is January, which is a pride month for vegetarians and vegans, hence its alternative name, Veganuary. I find this a perfect time to discuss animal rights and veganism. We, the AMEBP, support animal rights and species equality. We believe that non-human animals should be treated with as much respect as humans. Here's a lesson on why this is especially important in the 21st century. Around the world, humans treat our animals as inanimate property that can be easily expended, especially livestock. For example, factory farming. Factory farming is an industrial method of farming animals which prioritizes minimal expense and maximal production over animal welfare. Let's take a look at what happens inside such farms. In many meat farms, animals are locked up in tight spaces and not allowed to go outside. Neglect and abuse are common problems in these farms. The animals are prematurely weaned and are eventually slaughtered at a young age. The animals are lulled into trusting that their owners mean well and are then betrayed. They are forced into a transport vehicle, driven to a slaughterhouse and executed by a slit throat or a gas chamber for no reason other than food and profit. Don't you see anything clearly wrong with this? And the worst part is that this is extremely ignored due to the power that these industries hold. Some of you that are now learning this might be tempted to go vegetarian, but let's not be too hasty. I have more. The milk, egg and wool industries that vegetarians pay for can often be just as horrific. For example, dairy cows that are factory farmed are restrained and forcibly inseminated. Then their calves are separated from them and any baby boy cows will be slaughtered and converted into veal. The cows are forced to be milked of all the milk they produce and calves are not allowed to receive their mother's milk, are instead fed a ridiculously unnecessary amount of antibiotics. By the way, here's a not so fun fact. 80% of antibiotics produced are fed to livestock that don't even need them. As for eggs, factory farms with egg chickens are no better than any other factory farms. Baby boy chicks are seen as useless to the egg industry due to the fact they'll never lay eggs, since they're also useless to the meat industry as they don't have enough meat and it doesn't taste as good. They are collectively shredded alive at 1 day old. Isn't that horrible? In many wool farms, sheep are pinned down and forcibly shaved. Many of them are shaved so roughly that they are bleeding. That is extremely careless. We urge you to avoid paying for the abuse and murder of lambs, chickens, turkeys, pigs, cows, fish and whales on factory farms. But if you still don't believe that this is a big problem, go on the Vegan Calculator's animal slaughter count website. It shows how many wild-caught fish, chickens, farmed fish, ducks, pigs, rabbits, geese, turkeys, sheep, goats, cattle, rodents, pigeons and birds, buffalo, horses, donkeys and camelids have been slaughtered ever since you opened the site. Over 150 billion animals are slaughtered every year. By the way, if you're planning to go vegetarian or vegan now, please check the ingredients on anything you buy and watch out for E-numbers. E631, E441, E120 and E904 are all red flags. There are more things that I could talk about, but it's time to move on from livestock and talk about other forms of speciesism. For example, pets. Before we start, I want to make it clear that I have nothing against pet keeping. I myself have 2 cats, a dog, and 2 tanks full of fish and snails. and I love them as if they were my biological family. However, there are ways we treat our pets that need changing. The biggest problem is how pets are sourced. Pet breeders often wean baby pets prematurely and radically and then forcefully strip them from their families without their consent. Sure, they do get used to living with a new owner, but that doesn't make it much more ethical, does it now? Also, although this practice has been declining since the olden days, many dogs are still often either caged up or chained to a doghouse, sometimes full time. This is also unethical, as it is hardly short of slavery and unlawful imprisonment. Finally, I want to talk about euthanasia. Now, there is nothing humane about euthanizing your pet, especially if the animal still has long to live and their condition can be treated. Life is a priceless possession that should be conserved until the end. Animals are not objects that you can expend. I would like to discuss this further, but you probably already understand my point. And I also have a tight schedule, so I can't spend too much time working on this. In conclusion, here's everything that will change. All factory farming shall be banned in favour of free-range farming. Any murder of animals shall be illegal, and all slaughterhouses are planned to be transformed into sanctuaries. Laws that counter pet abuse shall be stricter, and we shall constitutionally declare that we are an alliance not just for the humans, but for all living beings. But before we go, I would like to announce that we have dropped French, prioritised English, and reduced Esperanto and Latin to subtitles. And if possible, we could even start using sign language in videos at some point in order to better represent any deaf audience we receive. But right now, I don't have much time, so I'm not going to capture this video, and I'm going to go back to celebrating my birthday. Goodbye, my friends!